The 3 things that have the greatest impact on emails: who the email's coming from. So make it a person, not a company. Don't put, IT or us from. It's got to be a person, and it's got to be the same person. Because a mistake companies make is they'll send an email from different people, and you're getting this email from somebody. I mean, some of you maybe had this experience. You're about to opt out, and then you realize, oh, wait a minute, I do business with this company. I actually like this company. I just didn't recognize the person, right? So it's got to be consistently from the same person, and the relationship with the person that's receiving it is going to determine, because like when you're looking at your email, you're basically looking at the from and you're looking at the subject, and you're just either hitting delete, 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 or some you might be opening, right? Because it's kind of like, back in the day, Gary Halbert, one of the world's greatest copywriters, Gary talked about how America sorts its mail, the physical snail mail, over the trash. Probably some of you still do this, right? You get the mail, walk in, stand over the trash can, and what are you doing? You're sorting the mail based on what? Envelopes. Yeah, you're like, okay, this is clearly a postcard, I'm not interested in it, and there's A pile, B pile, okay? So email's the same thing. Who the person it's coming from in the subject line is the envelope. In other words, if they don't recognize who you are, and the subject line doesn't pique their curiosity, you're going in the trash, right? And maybe they're opting out, but more often than not, people just like spam, they click and, junk, so it filters now into the junk filter rather than even opting out, okay? Number 2 is the subject line. Teaser copy or ambiguous statements work best. Because if you spill, again, I'll give you the direct-to-mail analogy. How many of you get the envelopes from the bank that says 0% or the new credit card, 0% interest, right? And you go, I'm not interested, unless you are, but very few people are, and the envelope gave it away, so you throw it away. So the subject line is the envelope, and if it's a little uncertain or you're not sure what it is, you actually have a better chance of getting it opened. Also, do not capitalize the first letter of every word. This is because when you're typing a friend an email, that's what you want to think about when you're writing this email, okay? If you were so when I write an email, I sit down and I think, okay, Michael, I'm writing an email to Michael, right? How would I write an email if I was just writing an email to Michael? See, most of you, when you're writing an email, you're sitting down going, okay, I'm writing an advertisement to go to a group. And the communication sounds different. It starts to sound like a corporate brochure. You want it to sound like I just fired off a quick email to Michael, right? And that's what's going to get the better response. And if I'm just firing off a quick email, I am not going to capitalize the first letter of every word in the subject line. Nor am I going to put, here's your newsletter, because then it's like, again, it's the envelope basically saying what it is. I'd rather do something a little bit curious and put, here, the one trick that'll get all your emails opened, or I don't know, something like that. In the subject line, raises curiosity. One of our best performing subject lines is just the word hey, H-E-Y. Another one is if we just put your first name in the subject line. Or a little twist on that is for first name. Because it doesn't really say what it's about, you just see your first name and people, it gets you to at least read the email. Okay, so the subject line's not going to sell anything. The thing here, look at it this way. Don't give away everything in the subject line, right? The subject line is just to get them to stop and take a look. Copy and offer, of course, make it look like a personal email, write as though you're writing one to one person and not a group. And if there is a link, you want to put it above the fold, and there should be some sort of call to action or response. And whenever you write the email, make sure there is what is the next step that you want them to do. Do you want them to click here and fill in a form to request an appointment? Do you want them to click and go download a report? Do you want them to call your office? So you gotta have the next step in action. Most marketing I see has no clear instructions on what the next step is for that prospect. And if you don't give them the next step, here's what I want you to do, they won't do it. And then you don't get the appointments, you don't get the opt-ins, you don't get the opportunities. It's direct response 101. You have to tell the prospect, here's what I want you to do. Are you with me? Yes? Okay, good.